Hi, and welcome to this edition of Business Supes, where we talk to successful local business owners, learn a little bit about them, their business, and of course, their business superpower. So today I am joined by Toni Rosser from Rosser Midwest Stone. Toni, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So I always like to start off with the origin story. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
We are a stone supply company. We're in our 28th year come May. It's just a strange way that this got started. Back in the 90s, my husband had a hot shot delivery service. I was in oil field supply, and he had a buddy that worked for the Homeland Corp down in Houston and said, I'm going to work for a quarry. We want to open a stone supply company in Tulsa. Will you run it? And my husband said, no, I'll run it. I'll open it and run it. You back me. So I'm getting ready to take a new job as VP of operations. And my husband was like, please don't take that job. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? You're going to start a new business? How are we going to survive? Had a new baby, house, truck, all that. So anyway, we jumped in, we went full force and opened it up. Started with about a semi-load of stone, which is not much, considering now I probably have 200 semi-loads here. So
Wow.
we started it. We beat the streets and talked to masons and builders and got our name out and went from there.
Very cool. So who was the one beating the streets? You or him or both of you?
It was generally him. I maintained the yard. And then, so for trucks that would come in, I was offloading trucks and loading customers up, and along with taking care of a 9-month-old child. So yeah, it was quite interesting. So, but we made it work. Made it work. He did all the deliveries and I maintained the yard for him.
Wow. So how long was it just the two of you?
For 3 years. For 3 years. His baby brother that he brought, he's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but his baby brother he brought from Pittsburgh back in, I think in 81, ran the hot shot delivery service for us. And at that point in time, the fax machine was coming out and they worked for ad agencies. So that was kind of slowing their business down. So his brother ran that for 3 years. And then we decided, well, we'll sink or we'll swim. We'll just all go at this full time. And we took off with it. So
Wow. So, and I remember we talked a little bit about this. So it sounds like it's a family business now, right? Like multiple members of the family, I should say.
yes, yes, yes. My husband
So,
has been retired for the last 14 and a half years, but I have my brother-in-law, my nephew, my brother. He maintains all of my yard, takes care of all the semis, all the loads going out, and then a goddaughter. So we're all family.
okay, very nice. And you and I talked before we started the recording, and you were telling me that you guys have done some pretty cool projects for some pretty interesting people. Got
We
any
have.
names you want to drop?
Well, our very first project, we got a call, I believe, in '99 from Salt Lake City, Utah. And they flew my husband up there and he went into Salt Lake City, Utah, and they drove him up to Jacksonville, Wyoming. And there was a big project called the Amangani Hotel. And so he went up there and they're like, can you supply this stone? He's like, sure. So he came back. I'm like, what is it? We got to find it. So we found it and we sold them 42 semi-loads. And
Wow.
so big, beautiful. But at that point in time, when it opened up, it's pretty much for the elite. I think when it opened in probably 2001, it was about $700 a night with a 3-night minimum. And so we started getting calls out of San Francisco. And from there, we hooked up with a supply company in Santa Rosa and we supplied them stone. And we did like Joe Montana's house. We did the Post Cereal people's house. We got to do Michelle Pfeiffer's house up in Silk, Colorado.
Wow.
We did Don Henley's house, Eagles, down in just outside of Dallas. We did Ross Perot's house twice and finished it just before he passed away this last time. So yeah, we've been very blessed. We've done a lot of cool projects. Besides, like all the ex-CEO of Sam's Club, we did a huge project for them over in Centerton, Arkansas. I think that was probably the biggest. I think they did about $1.2 million worth of stone just on one home. Incredible. but I've done work on
Wow.
other walls and that sort of thing. And so I do a lot of commercial projects. Just finished one for the city right across from the gathering place. That was about 18,008 tons of boulders to create a
Hmm.
whitewater flume. So that was a big project. About 791 semi-loads of stone. So it's a lot of fun.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff.
A lot of stone. Definitely a lot of stone.
So what is it about owning your own business that made you want to take the risk and made you want to stick in it? What do you like about it?
Well, for one, the freedom, but also the fact that when you talk about the freedom of owning your own business, you're really very tied down because you're at everybody's beck and call pretty much 24/7. So my phone will start probably 5 o'clock in the morning with truck drivers and people trying to get things organized and that sort of thing. And then I don't finish up with calls till probably 7 o'clock at night. So really you put in a whole lot more hours. But the best part is completing things for people and making them happy.
It's interesting. I asked that question, and you actually said the word that is usually kind of tap danced around, and it's freedom. And it's always either financial freedom or freedom to control my time or freedom to control who I work with. So it's really interesting how that is always an underlying theme with business owners.
Well, it is, but there's a lot more work involved versus just your standard 8 to 5, where
Right.
you go home at 5 o'clock and you leave it there until you arrive the next morning. This company, you don't. I mean, it's with you 24/7. I'll take many calls on Saturday, even calls on Sunday. So my phone is like, a portal to the business. I mean, it's constant. So,
Mhm.
but I don't mind that just because you get a lot of homeowners that, are trying to make decisions. And my biggest thing is I want them to be happy. I want them to drive up and I want them to love their home. So I try to listen to everything that they say, what they're needing, what they're wanting, and make that reality come true for them.
I've had houses that I just kind of liked, and I've had houses that I loved. And it really does make a huge difference when you pull up to it and you look at it and you go, wow.
And then just depending upon the budget that they're on, depending on the builder that they're building with, to try to help them
Mhm.
out to achieve what they want within their budget.
So kind of tying off of that, then what would you say sets you apart from the other folks out there who sell stone?
My biggest thing is doing what I say I will do. And communication is the biggest key factor. To
Okay.
communicate to them, let them know. Because with the struggles we've gone through over the last couple of years, with everything being behind, quarries not being able to get employees, production being behind, you have to communicate with these people because generally when they call, they want it now.
Mhm.
And now has kind of been set back a few weeks. And there were
Right.
times in years that it was 8 to 10 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks. So just being honest and telling them so that they understand the weight that they're looking at.
No, I think that's fantastic. And you think about, just the construction industry in general, and it tends to be
Oh,
a pretty bad reputation for communication.
oh, big time. But that's what's most important. I think that probably sets my company apart is because I try to always be upfront and honest. And if I have to tell them and it's not such good news, I'm sorry, but at least
Mhm.
I'm being with them and letting them know.
And I think that's just such a big thing. So many problems and challenges could be avoided with just
Oh,
better communication up front. Yeah,
absolutely.
it helps with the Google reviews too, right? When people
Yeah,
people are kept in the loop. So,
exactly.
um, so what would you say the biggest success you all have had in business was?
Very blessed. I believe we have a really good reputation because we've always done what we said we would do. And like I said, communication is a big key and staying in contact with people. And I think that is probably what's led us to being able to achieve and do the projects that we've been able to do.
All right, so here's the big question, the kind of the center of the whole interview series here. What would you say your business superpower is?
Being able to communicate with people, knowing when they come in my biggest thing, first of all, is what kind of look they're trying to achieve, what kind of colors that they're wanting, and leading them in the right, because most people come in here and they have no clue what they're doing. Their builder has sent them out. They have no idea what they're doing. And to try to help them, whether it's photographs, whether it's panels that they look at, whether it's stone samples, that sort of thing. And to make them feel confident in their selection. Because if you just leave them to free will it, they're lost. They have no clue.
Right.
So you really have to walk them through that. And it takes, all the knowledge that I've learned over the last 28 years to be able to do that.
28 years of experience. The business has grown obviously significantly from when it was just the two or three of you. So what are you expecting for 2023?
Well, there's definitely a slowdown. I mean, there definitely is, and that's due to the interest rates. I still have lots of big projects that I work on. I do a lot of big homes that are somewhere between 200 and 300 tons each. And so I've got a lot of those on the books. I've got commercial projects coming up. So there's things to sustain it. I don't know what the future holds, just as far as the economy and that sort of thing. I just kind of have to play it by ear. I don't have a giant overhead, so therefore I'm able to offer some discounted rates to clients. And that is a big key factor in today's world that we live in.
Right. Absolutely. So very cool. So last question here before we wrap up. You've got a lot of experience as a business owner. So what would be one piece of advice that you would share with other business owners?
Be humble. Listen. The biggest thing is to listen. Don't talk over your clients. You need to listen to what they have to say and their wants and needs, and communication. That's the biggest factor, is communication, and be honest.
That's fantastic advice. I think that more than just business owners, I think we could all do a better job of not talking over each other.
Because too many people do, and they talk, but they don't listen. And I think it's very important to listen.
Absolutely. All right. Well, again, that's some fantastic advice and some great stories there. So Toni, thanks so much for taking some time to be with us today and sharing your business superpower.
Thank you very much, Eric. It was a pleasure.
You're very welcome.
All right. Take care.